to move on from that, I've been receiving a few questions from the audience, and one question I feel that has kept coming up is, what y'all think in terms of health and safety would be the best strategy, and if there are any places to go out there to look to get accreditations, or even have certain institutes regulating the health and safety standards?
I mean, I can also start on that. I also linked to our journey. I mean, our first ever Lanka Challenge in 2009. I was obviously a slightly naive event organizer, and we started as a race. And you know, if you can imagine trying to operate a Sri Lanka a tuk-tuk rally as a race, you know, not very safe. Lots of things that go with that, and so health and safety is a huge part of improving, of making things better, making the experience better, and obviously making it safer. And I hate to almost go and give a sales pitch to ATTA here, but resources that are on platforms like that, and I'm sure that there are others in Australia and various parts of the world. But I have to say, though, when you have an industry-wide set of guidelines that is combined with you know, experts from across the world putting together their knowledge and experience on all of the activities that we've mentioned today, those are really, really valuable bits of information, and that, so to answer your question, like, that's where the real value is, and there's hours and hours of work that's got into these kind of things, to best practices across all kinds of activities, risk assessments that go in, just to get a kind of baseline of safe practice. Everybody wants to run safe activities. Nobody wants to hurt anybody, but we want to have adventure along the way.
Yeah, thanks for that, Julian. If I might just comment, there isn't like a global health and safety standard for adventure travel. The ATTA was involved in developing ISO standards for guide training, and those are available, those courses. We do offer currently a safety and risk management course that is available for people online, that you can take and apply those principles to your business. It walks you through all of the aspects that you really should consider. And then just another note, ATTA has recently published activity-specific COVID safe operation guidelines. And there are one overarching guideline for small group operations, and then there are 10 activity-specific. So you have rafting, cycling, trekking, and on. So feel free to look at those as well. And if I can ever be of a resource to any of you to point you in the right direction, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, I think Stewart and
thanks.
Thilak will have you after that, maybe to round off. And thank you, Jake. I'm sure we'll have plenty of questions and plenty of information, plenty of questions coming your way on registering and teaming up with the ATTA. Thank you very much. Yes, Stewart?
Thanks, Max. I mean, great conversation and a really important one. I think if we look back and evaluate a lot of the accidents that happen in our industry, one thing that jumps out is a lot of times people have known there was a risk and didn't speak up. So there is certainly some great tools out there to evaluate the likelihood and consequences, etc. But it's, if we really focus also on the principle of the standard you walk past is the standard you accept, and if you walk past, and I'll talk about this as a group of industry-based people who are passionate about the safety of their guests. If we walk past something and we don't speak up or we don't rectify it and someone gets hurt in the past, we only have ourselves to blame as an industry. So I just go back to the principle of speaking up and rectifying things, and having that as a non-negotiable within ourselves as an industry.
Brilliant, Stuart. Thank you for that. Mr. Weerasinghe, I think you had something to say as well.
Yeah, what we did in Sri Lanka for last 2 years. Last 2 years with the adventure professionals or expertise, we came as a group together with some of the government organizations. We develop a criteria and some guidelines to develop this industry. So some of the guidelines actually we developed certificate course to the national vocational level 6. That is actually the highest we could go at that time. And there we got involved kind of a safety system, or we have discussed with the telecommunication regulatory bodies, how to communicate with everyone who is in adventure industry, even individual to the professionals in the area, and also apps to track where they are. And also we had discussed with the 1919, that's new ambulance system, which is widely providing their services around the country. We had a link with them. Then we have a common center for anyone to call. We take that call center, and 1912 is the number. So we did all that, and then we started few classes already under Sri Lanka Tourism School. So some of the professionals, they came from the Guide Lecturer Association, some of us are from Slaito, and from actually all the stakeholders in the industry who involved in the adventure tourism contributed a lot. That is actually 2-year exercise we did. Unfortunately, just before we finalize some of the activity, we have to face the COVID situation. Even during the COVID situation, we went and helped the Sri Lanka tourism. This team, we were actively involved, but we were more or less in an area to finalize or get the international accreditation for some of the activities. We did some of the work. Unfortunately, last few months, we couldn't do much, but I'm sure by in a year or so, we will end up with the project what we started. This is to make sure that we have a right policy guideline for adventure tourism, that is for underwater, surface sports, sky sports. We don't have a single drop zone in the country for sky sports or for parachuters. So we have to get a special permission if somebody want to, do parachuting in the country. So we discussed with the Air Force and regulatory authorities, and also we discussed some of the matters related to the water with the Navy, then also land-based activities with the police and also with the other security personnel. So we built a quite comprehensive platform, but of course, it is not off the ground as yet. So it will come soon.
Absolutely, Mr. Weerasinghe. Thank you for that insight, because I think a lot of questions also asking in Sri Lanka for the people, how can they register, how can they come along to these guidelines, so that this is going to be so vital for us going forward. And I'm sure through Slaito, we'll be speaking to all our members in the days to come. Yeah. Thank you so much for your work on this regard. And I'm sure everyone's going to really appreciate this coming out, and it'll help bring out Sri Lanka as a safe destination for adventure travel, which is one of the major criterias, I think, going forward.
And I share a little more, but we have to be careful about the carrying capacity. All what we do to promote Sri Lanka is very nice. We can develop, we can even responsible traveler. I'm sure he even won't take a plastic bottle. They have a refilling bottle all over the world. If I go for a little hike or a bike as a responsible person, then I follow my guideline. But carrying capacity can be one of the major issues, because when the place is developed, automatically we get the local people to be a part of the trail or part of the business. So then from there it expands. So some of the area in Sri Lanka we have seen, it has been developed. Then when we try to control it, then unwanted issues may arise. So therefore, we have to be very careful about carrying capacity of all the sports, including hiking trails or any other adventure or the leisure sport.
Absolutely. And I think that's adding on to the points you just said about our surfing beaches being pristine and wild. And that is what people come to Sri Lanka for. So it's vital that we really, be, in terms of have a long-term vision and look at, carrying capacity, like you said. And I'm sure that's something that we'll be advocating towards the industry as well. And you have been doing so effectively over the last few years. So unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have come to our end.